3 years ago, my daughter fell from the 20th floor. She died instantly. My husband, Ethan, held her body for 3 days and nights, refusing to sleep. Chelsea, her godmother and my best friend, cried until she collapsed. I refused to believe my daughter, Lily, would go to the rooftop alone. I dedicated my life to uncovering the truth. But no matter how hard I looked, the security footage and every shred of evidence pointed to one conclusion: she had jumped. Until today, the anniversary of her death, when I received a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was identical to my own. "Lily, sweetie, be a good girl and wait for mommy, okay? I'm coming home, and I'll bring you your favorite strawberry cake." I froze. Those were the last words I ever said to her. Before I could process what was happening, the voice spoke again, laced with confusion. My own voice trembling, I whispered my name into the phone. "Amy." Silence. Then the Amy from 3 years ago spoke, her tone shifting to sharp suspicion. "Who is this? Why do you sound just like me?" "I was calling my daughter." "How did I get you?" "I'm you from 3 years in the future," I said, struggling to keep my voice steady as the words rushed out. "Listen to me. Today is the day Lily falls to her death. You have to save her." A cold, dismissive laugh crackled through the speaker. "If you're going to lie, at least make it believable. My daughter is perfectly fine at home." She sounded annoyed. "I can't even hang up. What do you want?" "I know it sounds insane," I said, forcing my voice to stay firm. "But it's real, and I can prove it. Ethan, who is supposed to be working late, is about to call and say he won't be home this afternoon. You'll get worried about Lily being alone and call Chelsea to ask her to watch her. Chelsea will say she just left town for a trip. Then your assistant will call, pressuring you to come in for a critical meeting, and you'll give up on going home to Lily." In my 3-year quest for the truth, I had replayed that day countless times. Every detail was seared into my soul. As I finished speaking, the clock ticked over to 1:15 p.m. right on cue. Ethan's ringtone echoed faintly through the phone. This bizarre, time-spanning connection was so clear I could hear the entire conversation. "Honey, work is crazy today. I have to work late again." 30 seconds later, Amy hung up and dialed her best friend. Just as I'd said, Chelsea answered, full of regret, explaining she'd left on a trip that very morning. Immediately after, Amy's assistant called, reminding her the meeting was about to start. "Turn the car around and go home right now," I commanded. "Take Lily with you. The client for that meeting is going to bail at the last minute. The meeting is a waste of time." A 2-second pause, then the roar of an engine. "I'll trust you this once," she said, her voice tight with tension. "If there's even a 1 in a million chance my daughter is in danger, I'm not taking it." Relief washed over me. "I know," I whispered. "We're the same." She floored it, turning a 20-minute drive into 10. The moment she burst through the door, I heard Lily's bright, familiar voice brimming with life. "Mommy, you're back so soon." A lump formed in my throat. I could picture her perfectly, running into her mother's arms, eyes crinkling into a joyful smile. Past Amy's voice softened. "Sweetie, how about you come to the office with Mommy today? I'll buy you a strawberry cake." Lily cheered with excitement. But just as they were about to leave, I heard the faint click of another door and Amy's shocked voice. "Chelsea? I thought you were out of town." I stiffened. Chelsea was there that day? I distinctly remembered her telling me she didn't get back until the day after. But there was no mistaking the voice on the phone, Chelsea's, laced with surprise and a hint of something unnatural. "You said Lily was alone. I'm her godmother, aren't I? Of course I came back. She's more important." 1,000 questions swirled in my mind. All I could manage was to urge Amy to keep Lily by her side, before a new call beeped through, severing our connection. It was the Chelsea from my timeline, her voice as gentle as it had been 3 years ago. "Amy, are you still at the cemetery? I know how hard this is for you, but you have to keep moving forward." My gaze fixed on the distance. I cut her off, voice flat. "The day Lily died, were you really on a trip?" Chelsea paused, confusion creeping in. "Yes. I tried to come back, but my flight was cancelled due to the weather. Don't you remember?" Her tone grew heavy, practiced concern shading into weary sadness. "You haven't given up chasing this day, have you? The police ruled it an accident. Lily was only 5. It isn't impossible for a curious child to climb onto the roof." Her voice choked. "Now you're starting to doubt me, Amy?" I cried myself unconscious. "They had to take me to the hospital." "Of course not," I replied coolly. "You know I wouldn't accuse anyone without reason. It was just a thought." After hanging up, I desperately tried to reconnect with my past self. When I finally got through, Amy told me she was about to leave with Lily. Chelsea had already gone. I asked Lily about her day, Amy added. She hasn't seen any strangers. Nothing seems out of place. So there had been no warning at all before it happened? A bitter taste filled my mouth. That was the truth. If there had been even the slightest clue, I wouldn't have spent 3 years chasing shadows. Amy took Lily to her office. As I predicted, the client canceled the meeting without warning. She didn't care. She delegated the fallout to her assistant and kept Lily glued to her side. A few minutes later, she called me back, her voice strange. Even without seeing her, I could imagine the grim set of her mouth. You're not going to believe this. Ethan never worked late today. I just called his office. The receptionist said he left early. My own expression turned to stone. Why would he lie about leaving work? I muttered, unable to fathom his motive. On the worst day of my life, the two people I trusted most had both lied to me. Go home, I told her. Install hidden cameras in every corner of the house. Don't tell anyone. Not Ethan. Not Chelsea. After a beat of silence, she replied, I will. But I hope this has nothing to do with them. I drove away from the cemetery. Just as I walked through my front door, Ethan arrived right behind me. Amy, he said gently, Chelsea told me you went to the cemetery again. You were thinking about Lily, weren't you? I remembered the day it happened, how he'd raced home after the call, running 13 red lights, arriving disheveled and frantic. He had knelt on the pavement, clutching our daughter's body, his eyes raw and bloodshot. Now, as I met his gaze, it was the same as always, gentle, clear, focused only on me. But for the first time, I felt like I couldn't see him at all. Ethan, I began, my voice hollow, why do you think Lily went to the rooftop by herself that day? She never went up there. A tremor ran through him, his face contorted with a familiar agony. If I hadn't stayed late at work, if I'd been home with her, she never would have gone to the roof. A fall from that high, it must have hurt so much. I'm a terrible father. It's my fault. His grief was profound, desperate. Then his tone shifted. Honey, Lily is gone, but we're still here. I'm more worried about you than anything. I can't stand to see you trapped in this shadow, he pleaded. Please, can't you let it go? For her sake? Lily would be so sad to see you like this. He'd said those words 100 times. He'd even suggested we have another child to fill the void. But he didn't understand. 1,000 children could never replace my Lily. Rage surged. I spun on him, my voice a raw scream. What work was so important? You promised you would take care of her. Tell me why, Ethan. Why? He looked away, regret masking his face. I didn't know. I didn't know she was in danger. That's why I stayed to work. Still lying. Get out, I said, dangerously calm. I don't want to see you. When Ethan left, the mask of grief fell from my face. Alone, I opened software on my laptop. Because my past self had installed the cameras, I could now access 3 years of footage from inside my own home. But when I saw what the storage drive held, my eyes widened in disbelief. Before I could react, my phone shrilled, shattering the silence. Chelsea. Don't be angry with him, Amy. Ethan was just trying to help. You know how clumsy he is with words. Her voice was a soothing balm. I'm on my way to keep you company. Okay, I said flatly. Chelsea, always gentle, always on my side. But this time, something felt wrong. To confirm the sick suspicion taking root, I added, I'll be waiting. The second I hung up, another call came through, a familiar string of garbled numbers. My past self. I snatched up the phone. Amy's voice was a panicked cry. Lily's gone. The world spun, icy dread crawled up from my feet. What do you mean? You were supposed to keep her with you. How could this happen? She went to the restroom, Amy choked out. My assistant was waiting right outside the door. She was only gone for 5 minutes. When she went in, Lily was gone. 5 minutes. In a public space covered by security cameras. How could someone vanish into thin air? Chaos roared in the background on her end. Someone shouted they'd seen Lily leaving the building. My mind recoiled, impossible. But when Amy pulled the footage, it was true. Lily had walked out of the office by herself. The moment she stepped outside, she entered a blind spot. And then she was gone. I don't believe she would just walk away without telling me, Amy said, her voice stretched thin with terror. Something is wrong. Go home now, I told her. Check the rooftop. Check the whole building for anything unusual. She was already on her way, calling the police. She burst into our apartment. Silent. Empty. Amy ran to the building security office, but the guard swore he hadn't seen Lily return after leaving with her earlier. And yet she had fallen from our rooftop. Even with the newly installed cameras, there were no clues. The rooftop door, always locked, remained shut, with no sign of tampering. Amy went door to door, pleading with neighbors if they'd seen her daughter. As expected, every answer was no. How is this possible? She cried into the phone. Is she not going to fall this time? Is it something else? Could she have been kidnapped? She tried calling Chelsea, but the calls went straight to voicemail. Then Ethan showed up, worry etched across his face, asking where their daughter was. Ethan, Amy snapped, do you honestly have no idea where Lily is? His reply came a fraction too slow. I just found out she was missing. How could I know where she is? Don't worry. I'll go to the police station. We'll find her. As he spoke, he took another call and left in a hurry. Listening on my end, suspicion grew into a monstrous certainty. There were only 30 minutes left until the time of the fall. The image of my daughter's broken body flooded my vision. Questions circled relentlessly. Who lured her out of the office? What did it have to do with the fall? Why were both Chelsea and Ethan lying? Why had Lily gone to the roof that day? And why did she willingly leave the office now? How did she fall from our building's rooftop if there was no trace of her ever being there? Suddenly, a thought struck with the force of a blow. There is one more thing you need to check, I said urgently. I'm certain it's connected to her disappearance. At the same time, I rushed back to my study, frantically reviewing the footage from my home cameras. A few minutes later, staring at my computer screen and listening to the clue Amy had just uncovered, I let out a long, shuddering breath. I finally understood. I knew the whole twisted truth. And I knew how to save my daughter. I rewound the archive that should not exist. The hidden cameras my past self had just installed were now, in my present, a 3-year library of everything that happened after that moment. An impossible time seam had stitched the footage straight into my hard drive. The folder tree blinked up at me, 20XX0416. The day Lily died. My cursor hovered over 134000. Play. The living room appeared. Afternoon light lay in long bars across the rug. 2 minutes later the front door clicked. Chelsea stepped in. She did not knock. She used a key. She stood there for a beat, listening, then crossed to the hallway with the easy confidence of someone who had done this many times. She went into my bedroom. Out again. Then to Lily's room. She did not touch anything. She only looked. Her face and profile was calm, too calm, like an actress waiting for her cue. A vibration skittered across my desk. The screen of my phone lit with the same impossible string of numbers. The line to the past held. Amy? Past me sounded winded. I am back in the apartment. The cameras are up. I do not want to believe it, but I think someone was here. The faintest smell of strawberry. The box on the counter is gone. Strawberry. Cake. My lungs forgot how to work. Listen carefully, I said. Check the service elevator logs. Not the main desk. The service bay to the garage. I jumped back to the footage. 134712. Chelsea returned to the foyer, bent, and picked something from the ceramic bowl beside the door. She held it up to the light and smiled. The spare fob. She slipped it onto her ring and took out her phone. The hallway camera had no audio, but a few seconds later my office landline, in the other timeline, must have rung. Past me's breath hitched in my ear. My assistant says a woman called the floor desk to ask for me. The line was bad. She said she would meet me at the lobby with the client documents. But I am here. No one is there. And Amy. The receptionist says Lily answered the phone at the side table and then told her she was going down to find me. I closed my eyes. She did not call you. Someone used your voice. How? Recorded phrases. You told Lily the exact sentence earlier. Be a good girl and wait for mommy. I am coming home with strawberry cake. She trusts that sentence. It is the key that opens her. On my screen, 135239, Chelsea left my apartment with a baseball cap low over her eyes. The foyer camera caught a sliver of reflection in the brass. She carried a small pink pastry box. The strawberry scent. Past me gasped. Service logs show a fob used at 1355. Not ours. The number is registered to building maintenance. But the signature line is blank. Go to the mechanical level, I said. Not the roof door. The roof door will be locked. There is an access hatch from the elevator machine room. No cameras there. There was a pause. How do you know that? I was staring at the map of my building's forgotten arteries, a copy PDF from our closing documents I had never read until grief made me tear my life apart. Because I learned it too late. Past me moved. I heard her shoes hitting the stairwell, the echo like a metronome counting down the last minutes of the old ending. On my screen the clock ticked to March 14, 2008. Another figure entered the apartment footage from 3 years ago. Ethan. His tie was gone, his shirt open at the throat. He did not look around like a man arriving at a tomb, he moved with intent. He went straight to the bookshelf behind the couch, reached to the top frame, and pulled down a small envelope. He knew exactly where to look. He opened it, checked the contents, and tucked it into his jacket. Then he took out his phone and typed. The message threw a pale light onto his jaw. He left the way he came, a hand pressed against his chest where the envelope rested. My heart banged. My fingers flew over the keyboard, scrubbing forward. November 14, 1940. The apartment door again. Chelsea. She darted in, headed to the laundry closet, dragged out a folding step stool, climbed and twisted at the smoke detector. She dropped something tiny into her palm. A lens. My lens. She disabled the camera I had just told myself to install. She knew. Where are you? I asked into the other line, trying to swallow the sudden metallic taste in my mouth. Mechanical level, past me said. I hear voices above. I hear her. I could not help it. Lily? I hear her laugh, past me whispered. It was the sound of a soul unspooling. She thinks it is a game. She thinks mommy is on the roof. Do not go through the main hatch, I said. You will lose seconds. Pull the alarm on the fire panel. It will unlock every magnetic catch. Make noise. Make witnesses. The plan needs privacy. How do you know there is a plan? The question was soft, already knowing. I looked back at my screen. I did not want to say the next part, so I let the footage say it for me. 14-15-22. Ethan, on the roof, in the corner angle of a maintenance camera that faced the wrong way, caught only as a reflection in the stainless steel box of a vent. The outline was unmistakable. And in a second reflection across from it, distorted in curved metal, another shape, smaller, an adult crouched near the parapet, and between them the quick, excited movement of a child. I clicked pause, printed the frame, and slid the paper under my keyboard with hands that did not feel like mine. Because I lived 3 years with the wrong ending, I said. Do exactly what I say. Pull the alarm. There was a beat. Then the shriek of the building sirens ripped through the old timeline and into my ear, the sound so fierce it made my walls buzz. Past me was already running. Somewhere above her, startled voices rose, and someone swore. I returned to the living room camera. 14-16-47. The door opened again in that old afternoon, but this time it was no one I recognized. A man in maintenance blues. He strode to the breaker panel, flipped 2 switches, and the living room lights cut. The camera image pixelated and froze. They had planned for the alarms. My thumb found the volume button and pressed harder into the present. I needed to hear. I needed to hold 2 times in my hands and force them into a different shape. A chime sounded from the hall. My present doorbell. Chelsea had arrived in mine now. I let her in. She stepped through with her familiar soft smile, a paper bag hooked over one arm. Soup, she said. You forget to eat on hard days. I took the bag without looking. Sit. She sat. She made her face arrange itself into care and sorrow. She had been practicing it for 3 years. I have been thinking, I said. My voice came out calm and empty. About keys. She blinked. Keys? We only ever had 2 copies of the apartment fob. Mine. Ethan's. I let the sentence sit. Unless the godmother had one. She gave the smallest laugh. Amy. Do you really think I would come into your home without you asking me to? My computer screen, behind her, had gone dark. The footage had skipped when the breaker went. I tapped the spacebar and opened a different camera. The elevator cab. 14-17-33. The door slid open to the roof level. A hand reached in, blocking the sensor. The hand wore Ethan's wedding band. Where were you? I asked, at exactly 1:48 p.m. 3 years ago. In the air, she said. Waiting out a storm. I held her eyes. A storm that never happened. Something flickered. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the same unconscious tell I had once found endearing. You are asking me to remember a minute of a day the police already explained. They explained an outcome, I said. Not a minute. I leaned forward. Say the minute again. She looked down, bust with the hem of her sleeve. That was when I saw it. The key ring clipped to the inside of her tote. 4 keys. 1 fob. And an old brass master with a notch we had made the first winter so we could tell it apart in the dark. The front of my shirt felt cold. It took me a moment to understand I had spilled the soup. The lid was off. Red pooled around the takeout container like a stain in the exact center of my coffee table. I stood and went to get towels. In the kitchen, with a faucet hissing, I slid my phone from my pocket and pressed record. "Tell me about the soup," I called back, voice light. "Where is it from?" She named a cafe 6 blocks away. Her voice stayed steady. Too steady. In the other line, the past was still screaming. Sirens. Footfalls. Then a metal groan and the note of a door hitting concrete. Past me had forced the hatch. Wind boomed into the phone like a living thing. "Amy," she said, breath tearing. "They are here. Ethan is here." And Chelsea's voice. "She is telling Lily to hold the ledge like a brave girl. She is saying Mommy will catch you." "Do not rush the parapet," I said. "Stand in the doorway, say her name. Only her name. Say it exactly 1 time." I set the towels down and walked back into my living room in my present. Chelsea had her phone open on her knee, screen angled away. She closed it when she saw me. "You should sit," she said. "You look pale." I sat. I placed my own phone face down on the cushion, its microphone hungry. "Lily," Pasmi said in my ear. I heard that sweet child sound still hold. A pause. Then another voice, lower, urgent, familiar. "Ethan. We need to go." "You promised," Chelsea said, her tone carving the wind into a narrow path. "You cannot back out now. Not after everything. She made sure that we'll lock you out if she left you. As long as Lily is here, Amy will never let go." I felt my own pulse in my teeth. I wanted to tear through time with my hands. I kept my voice even. "Say it again." Pasmi did. "Lily." A small delighted shout answered. "Mommy." The rush of motion that followed was chaos. A scuffle. A scrape. Someone yelped. The slam of a palm on metal. Then the sound every mother knows in her bones, the thud of a child colliding with a body bent to catch her. "I have her," Pasmi sobbed. "I have her. I have her. Oh God." I covered my mouth. The room swayed. Chelsea was still on my couch, watching me watch her, trying to read what I knew. On the roof in the old year, a man's voice, shredded with panic. "Ethan. You do not understand. She is going to ruin us." "Ruin you," Chelsea snapped. "And me. I did this for us." There was a beat of stunned silence. Past me, crouched around Lily's small frame, must have been staring at them the same way I was staring at Chelsea now. "For us," I repeated in my living room, clear and conversational, as if we were discussing a movie. "How long had that been true 3 years ago, Chelsea?" She looked at me then with the bare face of herself. "No mask. Long enough. Long enough to know where we kept our spare fob. Long enough to know the fire panel override. Long enough to practice my voice." The smallest flinch. There it was. The first crack. In the phone at my ear, a security guard's voice cut in, tinny and stern. "Roof is evacuating. Everyone off now." Feet thundered. Doors banged. The siren still screamed. The plan, denied its quiet, was disintegrating. "Take Lily to the elevator," I told Pasmi. "Do not speak to them. Do not look at them. Go straight to the lobby. The guard who just spoke is named Roland. He will walk you out." "How do you know his name?" Pasmi whispered. "Because I learned everyone's name," I said. "You will too if you let the wrong ending win." In my present, I tapped the keyboard again. Another camera blinked alive. The garage bay, 142609, 3 years ago. Ethan and Chelsea, hunched by the back of a gray sedan, arguing in short, jagged sentences. I unmuted the clip. The bay mic happened to be on. "Luck or mercy?" "Was not supposed to be here," Ethan hissed. "She called you," Chelsea answered. "Of course she was going to come. You told me you would stall her. You told me you would keep her away. I told you to leave it. And I told you I am not going back to being her shadow." A door slammed. Tires squealed. The car fishtailed and vanished. I let the clip run until the frame showed only an oil sheen and falling dust, then I looked up at the woman on my couch. "Do you want to try this again?" I asked gently. "Where were you at 1:48 p.m. 3 years ago?" She held my gaze. "With you," she said. "Always with you." If you say that sentence one more time, I said, I am going to call the detective who never stopped answering my number. And I am going to email him a file he will not be able to explain away with the word accident. Her eyes flicked to the screen. The garage frame glowed on the wall behind me like a confession printed in light. She smiled then, small and sad, like someone standing at the edge of a biography she did not write. You will not do it, she said. You cannot lose me too. You already lost me, I said. You lost me the second you decided my daughter was a problem to solve. The door to the past banged in my ear. The elevator chimed. Past me was moving. We are in the cab, she said. Roland is with us. Lily is holding the cake box like treasure. She wants to give it to me. Take it, I said, and my voice broke on the word. Take everything she gives you. There was a wet rustle as Lily pressed cardboard into my other self's hands. I made a wish, Lily said, serious and small. I wished Mommy would not be sad anymore. I bit the inside of my cheek until I tasted iron. Almost there, I told them both. The present rang again. Ethan's name strobed across my phone. I let it buzz. Chelsea watched the name flash and go dark. He will tell you it was my fault, she said. He will say I made him. He will talk about the will, about the company, about how you were never home. He will use every word he knows to turn your love into evidence. Will he be wrong? I asked. He will be himself. She stood, smoothed her skirt, and took a breath like a diver on a high ledge. When she spoke next, her voice had no tremor. Do you know what you are going to do? You can call the police. You can call the press. You can run. But whatever you choose, you will have to live with the fact that all this time you were sharing a table with the people who killed your daughter. They did not, I said, and the calm inside the word surprised me. Not anymore. Her face changed. What do you mean not anymore? I looked at the clock. 14:29, in a year that was no longer the same. Go home, Chelsea, I said. Lock your door. Put your phone on the table. Someone is going to knock. She stared at me as if I had spoken in a language she did not expect me to know. Then she laughed once, a dry, disbelieving sound. You think you fixed it? I know I did one thing right, I said. I told her to pull the alarm. In my ear, the elevator doors opened. The ding was bright as a bell at a wedding. Lobby noise flooded in. Roland's baritone rolled beside my daughter's high, thrilled chatter as she told him about strawberries and wishes. Past me whispered, we are on the ground. I closed my eyes. The world reassembled itself around a single sound, Lily's laugh, not in a memory, not in a dream, but traveling across 3 years like light. Do not go home, I told past me. Not yet. Go straight to the precinct on 3rd. Ask for Detective Hall. Tell him you want to file an incident report and surrender your roof camera footage. Give him my name. He knows it. And keep Roland with you until you walk through the doors. Will he believe me? Past me asked. He will now. In my present, Chelsea took a step back, then another. She looked at the garage still frame again and seemed to measure how far away 3 years really were. She lifted her chin. If the past is changing, she said, you do not know what Ethan will do to keep the future the same. I finally answered Ethan's call. I put it on speaker and set the phone between us on the coffee table, right beside the spilled soup that looked like a careful red circle underlining everything that mattered. Where are you? He asked. His voice was composed, the good husband cadence that had soothed my raw mornings for 1,000 days. Home, I said. With Chelsea. A careful beat. Is everything all right? It depends, I said. On whether you would like to meet us at the precinct on 3rd or have them meet you here. Silence. Then, very softly, the voice he used when he thought he was smarter than everyone else. What are you doing, Amy? Ending the wrong story, I said. I hung up and looked at Chelsea. You asked if I know what I am going to do. I picked up my printed still frame and slid it across to her. I'm going to give the truth a shape it cannot wriggle out of. In both directions. From the other phone, faint and shining, came Lily's voice, muffled against my past self's shoulder. Mommy, can we still get cake? Past me laughed and sobbed at once. Yes, baby, she said. We can get cake every year. I stood and picked up my keys. Let's go, I told Chelsea. We are late. For what? She asked. For changing the ending. The precinct looks the same as it did 3 years ago. Scuffed tile, flickering lights, a coffee stain near the front desk that no mop ever beat. The difference is me. I walk in with Chelsea at my shoulder and the future in my pocket. Detective Hall, I tell the desk sergeant. Tell him Amy Cross is here. He knows the name. Chelsea exhales a brittle laugh. You really think a cop is going to entertain your ghost story again? I am not telling a ghost story, I say. I am ending one. We sit on the vinyl bench beneath the bulletin board of neighborhood meetings and missing bikes. My phone is still warm in my hand from the other call, the one stitching 2 days into a single seam. Somewhere on the line behind this one, past me is walking through these exact doors with Lily and a security guard named Roland. The thought makes my lungs tighten and loosen at the same time. A door opens. Detective Hall stands there, older than the first time I begged him to believe me and younger than the man who will sign the last paper of this case. His tie is crooked, his eyes precise. He takes me in, then the woman beside me, the careful guiltlessness of her posture. Amy, he says. You look like hell. I feel better than I have in 3 years. I hand him the printed frame, the rooftop reflection that should not be possible and is. I brought you a picture from your old closed file. He studies it without speaking, thumb tracing the halo of light that outlines a man and a crouched figure and something small and bright between them. He does not ask what camera this came from. He knows our building had none on the roof. He looks up. Where did you get this? From a camera I installed in the past, I say. From a drive that updated when I told myself to put it there. Chelsea makes a sound like a scoff and a swallowed plea. Detective, do you hear yourself indulging this? She is grieving. She needs help. Detective Hall does not look at her. I hear myself being handed an explanation for 3 years of bad sleep. He holds out his hand. What else do you have? I give him everything. The garage clip with the hot echo of Ethan's hiss. The foyer sequence with Chelsea fishing the spare fob from the bowl we kept by the door. The service log screenshot that shows a maintenance badge accessing the elevator bay without a name. I set my phone between us and press play on the recording I made in my living room an hour ago, my voice asking about keys, Chelsea's voice answering like a woman still certain the world will keep protecting her. He listens. He does not take notes. He is the kind of cop whose mind has drawers lined in velvet and locks. When the room is quiet again, he says, Where is Ethan? On his way here, I say. Unless he decides to run. If he does, check the storage unit off Weller Street. The passcode is our anniversary backward. How would you know that? Because men who lie about everything still choose codes they can remember. A knock hits the inner door twice, crisp. Hall opens it. A uniformed officer leans in. Sir. There is. Another Miss Cross at the front desk. She has a little girl with her and a building guard. She is asking for you by name. For a moment I forget how to stand. Then I do. My legs carry me like they have decided they will not fail again. Bring them to interview too, Hall says. He looks at me. You come too. Chelsea rises, startled. I am not staying here alone. You are not going anywhere, Hall replies. Until we figure out who is in that reflection, you are not leaving my building. Her mouth opens. Closes. When Hall turns, she follows. Interview 2 is a square box with 2 chairs and a table that has seen every argument a person can have. The door on the opposite side opens and there I am, same face, same bones, hair tied back like I do when I mean to survive the day. The only difference is the living bundle on her hip. Lily's arms are looped around past me's neck, cake box pinched in one small hand and the sticker the front desk must have given her pasted upside down to her sweater. For half a heartbeat, the world does not spin, it folds. My vision double exposes. The me who lost her is still inside me, raw and endless, the me who is getting her back stands here breathing. Past me freezes when she sees Chelsea. You said you were on a plane, she whispers. Chelsea's face flinches, then hardens. Amy, she begins, using the voice she uses when she talks me out of my own instincts. Do not do this. Do what? Past me asks. Protect my daughter? Hall steps in. Miss Cross, he says to past me, calm and ordinary, as if the air is not humming with an impossible charge. I am Detective Hall. You asked to file a report. She disappeared from my office and I found her on our roof, past me says, kissing Lily's hair because her mouth needs a task that is not screaming. 2 people were there. Names? Hall asks. She looks at Chelsea first. Hurt is a color I did not know the human face could hold. You. Then, eyes sliding to the 2-way glass and the shape reflected there, to the guilt she knows by heart, and my husband. The hallway door opens again before anyone can answer. Ethan stands there, handsome in the way that photographs well and disappears at night. He takes in the room, the 2 of me, the detective, the woman who told him he would never have to feel the weight of what he did, and then he does what he always does, he tries to seize the floor with his tone. Amy, he says. What is this? You are frightening people. Only the right ones, I say. Hall gestures to a chair. Mr. Cross. Sit. Ethan sits, but he angles himself toward me with the small turn of the shoulder that used to make my heart unfold. I know grief is a glass that makes everything look bent, he says softly. Do not let it turn you against everyone who loves you. Past me's eyes blaze. Is that what you call it? She asks. Love? Of course, he says. Everything I did was to keep us. Hall holds up a palm. Save that sentence for later. He nods at the table. I'm going to lay out what I have. We will see where the words land. He arranges the printouts in a neat row, the rooftop reflection, the garage argument, the fob log. He presses the play icon again and my living room breathes into the interview room. Chelsea's with you, always with you, a blade inside a lullaby. He does not look at the defendants while the audio runs, he watches the two of me, measuring how a truth lands when it finally has a body. When the last second of sound clicks into silence, he turns to Ethan. Mr. Cross. Would you like to tell me where you were at 1:48 in the afternoon on the date of your daughter's fall? I was at work, Ethan says. We have already. You left early, I say. Your receptionist told me. She is mistaken. Past me lifts the cake box and sets it carefully on the table like evidence. Our daughter is alive because your lie ran out of room. Do not make more. His eyes move to the box and something gives in his jaw. He looks at Chelsea. He expects her to rescue him with a line she rehearsed. She is already calculating a story that makes her smarter than the room. Detective, she says, composed. You have no audio from the roof. All you have is a trick of reflections and a paranoid woman's recording of a private conversation taken out of context. You are right, Hall says mildly. What I have is not enough for a murder charge. He lets the word hang there for the breath it deserves. Good thing nothing fatal happened. Ethan cannot help himself. It was never supposed to, he stops, too late. Hall's gaze sharpens. To what? Ethan looks at his hands. This is ridiculous, he says to the table. Ridiculous, I repeat. Like a godmother using my voice to lure my 5-year-old out of a secure office? Ridiculous like a husband telling his wife he was working late while he stood on a roof watching the world tilt? Chelsea turns her head and studies me as if an answer is tattooed there. You will not be able to prove intent, she says, steady. You cannot prove who made a phone call from a lobby. You cannot prove what a reflection means. Past me's voice is flat. I can prove a smell, she says. Strawberries. In my kitchen. The cake you told me you brought today. She looks at the small box like it is a solved equation. You used the language of love to teach my child to walk into a trap. Hall leans back. Here is what happens next, he says. I'm going to hold both of you on suspicion of attempted child endangerment and conspiracy to commit assault. I'm going to have my tech scrub your phone records and the building's maintenance logs. I'm going to pull every frame of camera footage within 5 blocks of your office and apartment. And I am going to interview a guard named Roland, who is already sitting in the next room telling my partner why he followed a woman with a little girl out of a building with a fire alarm blaring. Chelsea opens her mouth. Closes it. The look that crosses her face is not fear, it is an insulted kind of surprise, as if the world has made a clerical error in letting consequences through the door. Ethan moves his eyes to me again, because I am the weakest point he has ever found. Amy, he says, softening his vowels, tugging at the strings he tied over our years. We can go home. We can put this behind us. We can try again. Try again, past me repeats, and in her voice is the sound of 1,000 nights I do not have to live anymore. You mean make another child to stack on the grave of the one you broke? The room holds still. Hall nods to the uniforms at the door. They step in and read words that mean 2 people will be here long enough for truth to catch up. The cuffs sound small and giant all at once. As they lead them out, Chelsea twists to look at me. If you rewrite the past, she says, you do not know what you are erasing. I know what I am restoring, I tell her. The shape of a family without you in it. They are gone. The door shuts. The air changes. Past me sits down as if her bones just remembered gravity. Lily, bored of adult noise, has discovered the under-table gum constellation and is narrating each fossilized dot with the solemnity of a museum curator. I cannot stop watching her. She is here in a way that hurts and heals at the same time. I do not know where to put my hands. Detective Hall clears his throat. His voice is gentler than it was in any century. Miss Cross, he says to the woman with a child in her lap and the woman with a ghost turned back into a body. There is one more thing we need to handle. He leaves and returns with a narrow envelope. My name is on it in the clipped hand of a man who writes reports for a living. The date is the day after Lily's fall, the original fall, 3 years ago. I wrote this, he says, when I closed your case the first time. It was for me. A reminder that some endings are too neat. It asks a question I never sent to anyone. I think you should have it. I open it. The question is 4 words. What am I missing? I hand it back. Nothing, I say. Not anymore. He smiles for the first time since I have known him. Go home, he says. Past me hesitates. Will I remember this? She asks me. It is a child's question asked in a mother's voice. You will remember enough, I say. You will buy strawberries every year and not know why. You will hate brass vents for no reason. You will recognize the kind of silence that means someone is about to lie and you will break it before it grows teeth. I swallow. You will have time. She stands. We face each other, the same woman stacked like pages, the one who lost, the one who would not let that be the end. She reaches across the table and takes my hand. We do not cry. We do not have to. Thank you, she says. For both of us, I answer. Lily wiggles down, cake box clutched to her chest. She looks up at me like children do with strangers who feel familiar. Do you want some? She asks, generosity as reflex. Yes, I say, and it is the most honest word I have said in years. I want all of it. Past me leaves with hall-to-sign statements. I remain in the quiet room until my phone stops buzzing with calls I do not need to answer anymore. When I finally step into the corridor, the world has moved 1 inch back toward the shape it was always supposed to hold. Outside, the air tastes clean. I walk home instead of calling a car, because I want to count the blocks between what was and what is. At my building door, the doorman's face rearranges when he sees me. It is a tiny thing, a shiver in the features, like a man remembering a name he never forgot. Ms. Cross, he says. Do you want me to buzz you up or is Roland bringing Lily down? Roland, I repeat, and the syllables tilt into place. He is coming down? Any minute, he says. She wanted to show him the mural in the lobby. The whales. The whales, I say again, because sometimes you have to touch a word from both sides to believe it. I go up anyway. When I step into my apartment, the first thing I smell is strawberry. The second is crayon, which is a color and a scent and a decade all at once. The living room rug has a faint zigzag of glitter I am sure I will be finding on my palms for the rest of my life. The fridge hums. The hum is louder because it is holding children's art under magnets shaped like fruit. On the side of the kitchen island, a growth chart marches up the molding in pencil notches and dates that do not exist in the life I just walked out of and are the only dates that matter in the one I am in now. I put my keys in the ceramic bowl by the door and almost laugh because there are 3 fobs in it, not 2, and none of them belong to anyone who will ever use them against us again. I pick up the old brass one, the one with the notch we cut in winter, and decide I will throw it away tomorrow. Not now. Now I want to hold everything that stayed. My laptop sits open where I left it. The drive icon that used to be a wound is just a folder now. When I open it, the directory is different. The footage from the day Lily died ends with a slow pan across nothing. No door opens. No lights cut out. The camera perched near the smoke detector keeps watching a room where the worst thing did not happen. I let it play until afternoon turns to evening and the apartment changes color in the way a safe home does. I hit stop and shut the lid. The doorbell rings. I do not make it to the door before it flies open because someone small has learned to push with her whole body. Lily barrels in with the force of a returned comet, Roland behind her carrying a paper bag and the knowledge that he did one thing right at his job today. Mommy, she says on a stream of breath that glitters, I showed him the whales and he said the big one looks like it is smiling but I think it is singing and also I saved the big strawberry for you because I made a wish and you have to eat the wish for it to work. I am on my knees on the tile without remembering how my legs bent. Come here, I say, and she is already inside my arms and the weight of her is the right weight and the smell of her hair is the right year and I am here. Roland clears his throat. I look up at him, and for a second both of us are men and women in a Greek myth we did not ask to be in, carrying someone out of the underworld and telling each other not to look back. Do you need anything else, Ms. Cross? He asks. Yes, I say. Your name on a card. And a promise that if Lily waves at you from the lobby you will wave back like it is the most important part of your day. He smiles, embarrassed. I can do that. When he leaves, I set Lily on the counter. We open the cake. The big strawberry is glossy as a heart. She insists I take it first. I do, and it is the sweetest thing I have ever put in my mouth, and that is not a metaphor. We eat with forks from the drawer and it gets messy and I let it. My phone pings. A message from Detective Hall, they are being held. We will take it from here. I send back, thank you. Then, without ceremony, I block the numbers that used to own my mornings. It is not rage. It is a repair. That night, when Lily is asleep and the dishwasher hums and the city becomes the soft machine that tucked me in when I thought I would never sleep again, I sit on the balcony and hold the two ends of my life in my hands. The phone with the impossible number does not ring. The silence is not the absence of a miracle, it is the sound of one settling. I think of the other me settling into her tomorrow, the one where a detective believes her and a guard escorts her to a desk and a child holds her hand. I think of the woman who walked into a precinct with the same face I wear and asked for help 1 minute sooner than the story expected, and how that was the difference between an accident report and a case file that grows teeth. On the coffee table, the printed rooftop still sits where I left it. I take a pen and write on the back a sentence that fits in my mouth without cutting it. We pulled the alarm. In the morning, I tape it inside a kitchen cabinet, behind the spices, a private reliquary. Each year, when strawberries reappear in the market like bright punctuation, we will buy a cake and I will touch that paper and remember how close a family can come to being written in the past tense. Later, when Lily is at school and I am in the quiet with the hum and the art and the pencil notches, I start to pack the things that need new homes. Not grief. That can stay, gentled. Not memory. That is the shape that love makes when you look at it from the far side. I pack the brass key with the notch. The white shirt of Ethan's that survived a closet purge because I told myself I needed something to hate. The photograph in a frame that was facing backward for 3 years. I do not delete the folder on my computer. I move it into a new one and name it Truth. It is not evidence anymore. It is a map of exits. In the afternoon, Detective Hall calls. We found the tool they used to copy your voice, he says. They practiced with messages you left on the office line. The DA is interested. And the envelope? I ask. It held a codicil, he says. Your husband had been pressuring your attorney to amend the guardianship clause. There are emails. We will need you to read them. I will, I say, and there is no tremor. We also recovered a second fob from Ms. Hart's apartment. Chelsea, I say softly, trying on the syllables like a coat I do not need to wear. Her name is Chelsea. Yes, he says. He clears his throat. When this is over. It is not over, I say, and it is not despair. It is continuing correctly. He breathes out. That will do. When I hang up, I find Lily at the table with a sheet of paper as big as she is. She is drawing with 2 fists, green and blue, her tongue peeking from the corner of her mouth the way mine does when I am concentrating. What is it? I ask. The roof, she says, and my stomach plummets before she adds, from the Whale Building. It is singing a song to the sky. I sit, my fear a small ridiculous animal that slinks away on its own as soon as the correct light hits it. What does the song say? She thinks. It says, not today. I let out a sound that surprises both of us and scoop her up just for the joy of hearing her squeal. The years that follow will be full of ordinary catastrophes, lost shoes and chipped teeth and math homework that makes both of us cry. There will be a spring with a broken wrist, and a summer that smells like sunscreen and wood smoke, and an autumn where she enters a room and every head turns because she has learned how to carry her grandmother's defiant chin. There will be therapy. There will be conversations about safety that are not bars but bridges. There will be new friends and a houseplant I keep alive long enough to have opinions. There will be court dates where I speak and am not interrupted. There will be mornings when I forget the exact tilt of the old herd and then remember, and it does not take my breath, it returns it. Every year, on the day the wrong story almost won, we will buy a cake with strawberries. We will take it to the lobby with the whales and invite Roland to have a slice even if he pretends not to want one. We will walk the stairs to the roof and stand at the door we do not open. We will put our palms on the metal and say thank you to no one and everyone. We will go home. Sometimes, late, when the city is a quiet animal and I am brave enough to pick up the phone again, I will call my own voicemail and leave a message I do not need anyone to hear. I will say the sentence that used to be a trick and is now a benediction. Be a good girl and wait for mommy. I am coming home. I am bringing cake. I hang up, put the phone face down, and walk to the doorway of my daughter's room. She is asleep in a heap of books and blankets and limbs that grow longer every day. The hall light makes a soft puddle on the floor. The house hums around her like a promise kept. I stand there until the clock says enough. Then I go to my own bed, press my palm to my chest, and feel the steady metronome of a life that is not counting down anymore. It is counting up.